So it's been about 5 months since I decided to build my own PC. I've had a couple of laptops and I bought pre-built before, but this was the first time that I actually built one myself, right? There were a few reasons why I decided to do it. Mainly I thought it would be fun, but I kind of missed everything that you can do with PC gaming. There's a lot about consoles to love, and this video isn't gonna be like, oh, PC gaming is so much better than consoles. I love consoles. I have a Switch 2, for example, and I use it pretty much just as much as my PC at the minute. I'm not here to dunk on games consoles because I love them and I grew up with them, but there's a lot about PCs that's just so convenient, which I know that a lot of people say, well, it's not really that convenient, but I'm going to try and explain why I think PC gaming is worth doing. It's an investment, but it's worth it in the long run. So first off though, it's not actually as difficult as some people say to build a PC. It is quite nerve-wracking, but I think that a lot of it is sort of built up by a lot of people basically saying, oh, it's so complicated, but it's not really. It's 6 or 7 parts and you just have to put them in the right place and voila, you've got a PC, right? It took me about 2 to 3 hours to build, and there was a lot of anxiety on my part when I was building it because I really didn't want to screw it up. I do get the idea that you spent a lot of money on these different components, and for example the CPU, if you drop the CPU it's game over pretty much, but it's not that difficult as long as you're careful and take your time. But again, it only took me a few hours to build my PC, and I didn't really have that many issues. I did make a couple of mistakes though. The first big mistake was that I bought a micro ATX motherboard and a full mid-tower case, which the motherboard kind of looks comically small inside this giant case. So I do wish that I bought a smaller case, but I also went with AM4, which is something that I am starting to regret doing because AM5 wasn't really that much more expensive, to be honest, and in the long run it's going to be better, but I think I'm probably going to upgrade to AM5 when the new Zen 6 chips come out, whenever that is, next year probably. But if you don't want to deal with the hassle of building a PC, you can always go down the route of getting a pre-built. I bought a pre-built a few years ago before I even decided to build a PC because I didn't want to deal with the hassle of it. So I totally understand that perspective, and that's a totally valid thing to do. But yeah, it is a bit more expensive for the same parts. The biggest benefit of PC gaming, especially over consoles, is that it's about choice, and I mean choice in literally every single element of using a PC. Choice in which parts you want to use. Do you want to go with AMD or Intel, or for GPUs, do you want to go with NVIDIA or AMD? The choice of which operating system you want to use. I've made a few videos about Linux recently, and I will say that Linux is currently actually a really viable option, especially for gaming. Distros of Linux like Bazzite and Nabara and CashOS and all of these. So there is a lot of options here. Obviously Windows is going to be the best thing, but then when you're on Windows, for example, you have the option of which launcher you want to use. Steam is the obvious one that I think most people use. There are different launchers other than Steam. You've got GOG, there's the Epic Games Store, and all of these different launchers have different deals. Epic Games actually puts out free games every now and again, which is a very, very big rarity in the console space. But the barrier to entry being the price, where it is expensive to build or buy a PC, right? It kind of balances out over time because you have so many options as far as where to buy games. Obviously, you've got the aforementioned game launchers which all have different deals and all of that, but then you've got different third-party sites. You've got websites like Humble Bundle and Fanatical which give insane deals for game keys for Steam, and then you've got Humble Bundle which does different bundles where you can just buy a ton of games for really cheap. But games are generally a lot more expensive on consoles. A recent example is the newest Silent Hill game, which was like 70 quid on consoles, and it is on PC as well. Like on Steam, it's £70, right? But if you go onto a certain website called CD Keys, I think they just rebranded because maybe they're trying to look a bit more professional. But I bought the deluxe edition of Silent Hill F for, I think, £47, which was quite a good deal considering that on Steam it's £80 for the deluxe edition. I've never had any issues as far as like buying games on there. And I've bought a lot of games on there just because it is cheaper and because I'm finding it increasingly difficult to justify spending £70 on a brand new game, to be honest. So it does balance out, even though the price of entry is more expensive for PCs. And it is, like, I know there are YouTubers who are like, oh, I built a PC for £450 and it beats out the PS5. Yeah, you can do that, but it's very difficult. Like, it's really, really difficult to get all of the parts. You know, you have to do a bit of haggling, you have to know where to look, and a lot of it is used parts, so there's a big gamble. You as an individual are probably not going to be doing that. Like, it's not something that's super easy to do. So yeah, it is more expensive to build a PC, but games are cheaper on PC, and there's just so many more options. The backwards compatibility on PC is crazy. So if you don't want to spend full price for a new game that's coming out, you can always like buy older games on the cheap. I'm talking games from, you know, the PS4 generation, the PS3 generation, even the PS2 generation at times. The further back you go, the more compatibility issues there are. But the great thing about PC is that there's mods. So a lot of the time you can still play these older games. Recently I played through Silent Hill 3, the native PC port, and it has a like community mod or a community patch which allows you to play it on modern systems. So it does require a bit of tinkering, but you can get it up and running, and that's the case for a lot of older games. A lot of these older games, obviously not like Sony or Nintendo exclusives, but a lot of old classic games are just available on Steam for cheap, or good old games. Another good thing is that there's just a lot of tinkering that you can do on PC, and this is going to be something that some people are going to hate and some people are going to love. Personally, I love it, but what I mean is like you can really tinker with the graphic settings or the resolution to get, you know, the performance that you want to get. Now, I know that there are issues at the minute, especially on PC, with like game optimization, and I've made a video about that recently, about how like games just don't seem to be well optimized. When you get a well optimized game, for example, the new Dying Light, that game is really well optimized, it runs great. There's a lot of options as far as, do you want to use FSR? Do you want to use native 4K or native 1080p? Or whatever you like to use, and then just turn the graphics settings down? Or do you want to sacrifice a bit of your FPS to get a higher resolution? Or do you just want to turn your resolution down and then have like 120 FPS? The options are so much greater than on PlayStation, where honestly this generation PS5 has actually been decent as far as graphics options. You usually have a quality mode and a performance mode, and that's good. That's a good option, right? But it doesn't compare to PC. I mean, you've got frame gen on PC, and I know frame gen's a bit controversial. I personally love frame gen because my display, I play on my TV and it's capable of 4K 120, but without frame gen, realistically, a lot of these games, even using FSR, a lot of these games that come out, I ain't getting anywhere near 120. I'm usually hovering around 60, and that's what I aim for, but then I can use frame gen to get up to 120 FPS. It runs great, and I use frame gen a lot. But yeah, I just basically want to say, after 5 months of using my PC exclusively for gaming, I don't regret it at all, and I'm having a lot of fun playing games from like all generations. And yeah, it's honestly such a great way to play games, and I've kind of missed it. I've kind of missed PC gaming. I'm not like done with consoles, obviously. I've just mentioned I love my Switch 2. There are games coming out on the PS5 that I'm really excited for as well. So I'm not like completely abandoning consoles. I'm definitely sticking with PC gaming for now, because all of these things that I've just mentioned, it barely even scratches the surface really. I'm kind of just rambling, but I do love PC gaming, and I think that it is a great way to play games. And if you're on the fence about it, maybe I've convinced you to go and build a PC. But yeah, that's basically going to do it for today. I just kind of wanted to give an update on where I'm at as far as like PC gaming. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe because it helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya.